So the poem I'm interpreting is To a Waterfowl by William Cullen Bryant. And just before I read the poem, I want to go over the context of it and when it was written, the period in which it was written. Bryant, he was a romantic poet, and this movement of romanticism came in response to the Enlightenment. And the Enlightenment, championed all these ideas of the sciences and the scientific method, and the Romantic movement kind of combated that movement, and they focused on the arts and religion and nature and God's presence in the world around us. So yeah, I'm going to read it now. This is To a Waterfowl. Whither, midst falling dew, while glow the heavens with the last steps of day, far through their rosy depths dost thou pursue thy solitary way. Vainly the fowler's eye might mark thy distant flight to do thee wrong, as darkly painted on the crimson sky, thy figure floats along. Seekest thou the plashy brink of weedy lake or marge of river wide, or where the rocking billows rise and sink on the chafed ocean side? There is a power whose care teaches thy way along that pathless coast, the desert and illimitable air, lone wandering, but not lost. All day thy wings have fanned, at that far height, the cold, thin atmosphere, yet stoop not, weary to the welcome land, though the dark night is near. And soon that toil shall end. Soon shalt thou find a summer home and rest, and scream among thy fellows, and reeds shall bend, soon o'er thy sheltered nest. Thou art gone, the abyss of heaven hath swallowed up thy form, yet on my heart deeply has sunk the lesson thou hast given, and shall soon not depart. He who from zone to zone guides through the boundless sky thy certain flight, in the long way that I must tread alone, will lead my steps aright. So the major themes of the poem, I'm just going to go over. Bryant, he talks about the waterfowl's great journey, and, and just for face value, that's a great migration, The waterfowl's going on this great migration to find his summer breeding grounds or whatever. And, he has to go through all these external factors. There's, exhaustion, and he talks about the toil of the trip. And he's alone. The waterfowl's alone, and he has to go through a lot, And so I thought, how can we relate to this? Well, I would say, absolutely we can relate to this because we're all undergoing a journey as we speak. We're finding out who we are, our place in the world, our sense of selves, and many of us next year will undergo another great journey as we go into college and find our place in the world. And I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so Bryant also talks about questioning motives, like why is this bird, this waterfowl, why is he putting himself through all this toil and through so much exhaustion and so many terrible things? Why is he doing it? Well, it's so he can see like the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. He's reaching toward a goal. There's a reason for all the hardship. There's a reason for all the work. And why do we subject ourselves to similar struggles? Well, there's an end goal we're all trying to achieve. There's a reason. There's a purpose. There's something we're striving for, and that's why we do it. And for example, just in high school, we could have just stayed home and not done our homework and things like that. But we're all academically strong in here, and why do we do that? Well, for a successful future. Okay, so this is pretty important. Bryant talks about the invisible guide, and from like a biological standpoint, we might just call it instinct. But Bryant, being a romantic poet, talks about the power being God. So he says, "There's a power whose care teaches thy way along that pathless coast." God is guiding this waterfowl along to kind of combat the ideas of the Enlightenment. They would say, it's instinct, and then he brings it back to himself and to human nature in general, that the same God that is guiding the waterfowl is going to guide his own life and lead him aright, and lead others aright. And I was thinking, it doesn't just have to be God. It can be, for us today, like in our context, it can be just something we desire, something we want, or perhaps like family or someone like that, just something important to us that guides us along. And lastly, like I talked about before, the purpose. There's a driving influence for this waterfowl. There's a reason why he's doing this all, and it's he's going to find a respite in the end, a summer home, And we too can find, take solace in that there's something for us in the end if we continue along the path.